We want also to check in the size. You want to check the P wave is normal or not. What is the normal P wave? The normal P wave is that height and width should be less than 2.5 millimeters. So the P wave in height and width should not exceed 2.5 small squares in height and 2.5 small squares in width. If it is in this dimension, it is normal. If it is like this, so it is taller than 2.5 millimeters or 2.5 squares, small squares. What do we call it? P pulmonale. Okay? So why do we say that the tall P is P pulmonale? Because the P is tall and the other one is P mitral. So the M is shorter than the P. No, it's not like this. This is just to link it. But actually, what do you think about? Let's tell first the other shape. This is the other shape of the P wave. So it will look like this. So the height is same, but the width is more than 2.5. What do you call it? The P mitral. So what happened here? The width became more. So why this happens? What is the pressure in the right ventricle? And what is the pressure in the left ventricle? Left ventricle is higher, 120. Yeah. So imagine that there is increase in the pressure in the left ventricle. What do you think will happen to the left atrium? It should now it will find some pressure resistance, and already it is weak. So what will happen? More than like it's too much pressure difference, it will fail directly. It directly fails because the pressure overload is huge for the left atrium. Okay, what about the right side? Right side, how much is the pressure in the right ventricle? 25, 30. So even if the patient develops like some increase in the pulmonary pressure, which is chronic, not acute. If it is chronic increase in the pressure in the right ventricle, still the right atrium can have the chance to hypertrophy. So with the hypertrophy, what do you think about the voltage? Increases. So with the increase of the voltage in the right atrium, you get higher voltage in the P wave. So you get the P pulmonale. Okay? And the P pulmonale, because most probably the right ventricular hypertrophy is because of the pulmonary artery pressure. Okay? The P mitral, if the ventricle, if the atria now is dilated, so it will take longer time to depolarize the atria because it was dilated. So it needs more time for the depolarization, so the width will increase. Usually here it is also bifid, like the M shape. So this M shape is like the M of mitral. This is tall like the P. Easy so far? Okay. Now regarding the QRS complex, the QRS complex normal is to be narrow or wide? Narrow. Why should it be narrow? Because the electrical activity goes from the AV node to the His bundle to the right and left bundles almost in the same time. So the right and left ventricles will contract almost in the same time. So there is no time wasted in the activation of the two ventricles. So if they are contracting at the same time, then the QRS complex should be narrow. Narrow QRS complex. After we finish the wide QRS complex, remind me to tell you why we call it QRS complex. Because we shouldn't call it QRS complex, we should call it ventricular complex. Because not all the ventricular activation is QRS. Maybe you have QS, maybe you have RSR, maybe you have RS, that's it. So we should actually call it ventricular complex, and according to the shape it forms, we can call it different names. We will see how to name it after we finish this part. So when can we get a wide complex? Three possibilities. Blocks where? Right and left bundle branch blocks. Excellent. So why is this? Imagine that the electrical activity is moving from the SA node to activate the atria. Then this is the AV ring. Let's make it here. This is the AV ring. So this is the atria, and behind here is the ventricle. So this is the AV ring, the ring between the atrium and ventricle. Where is the AV node here? In the center. So when the electrical activity is coming from the atria to the ventricle, it actually comes at the center, and it will go in the center to activate the right and left both at the same time. So you have narrow complex. Now, if you go from the AV node downward and from the center, and the patient has right bundle branch block, so what will happen? Electrical activity will move in the left side, activate the left ventricle, then come back. Oh, okay. Okay. So the electrical activity will come down from the AV node to the His bundle, and then it will get blocked in the right. Should it continue? No, it's blocked. So the left bundle will continue the activation. Should it connect here? No, it cannot. It cannot go and supply from up. It has different connections. So it continues to activate the left ventricle, and then after activating the left ventricle, it goes back intramyocytic and supplies the right bundle branch artery downstairs. So the left ventricle will be activated before the right. So if they are activated at the same time, it is narrow. If left bundle is supplied before the right, then the complex will be wide. So you can imagine it like this is the QRS complex of the left, yeah, and then after some time, when the left bundle is activated, now there is a right from the Purkinje fibers of the left side to the right. The right ventricle will start the activation. So the ECG machine, it will not go with the left and then go back and activate the right. No, the ECG machine, it is continuous. So when it activates the left bundle, then it goes and activates the right, you get this shape. What do you call it? The M shape of marrow. Yeah, you will see that later also. So now you have a wide complex because of bundle branch block. So the idea is to get a narrow complex, you need to activate the ventricle from the AV node to both sides at the same time. Now we have bundle branch block, it caused wide complex. What is the other reason for wide complex?